Okay, the Tapestry, chapter 8, the second part. Okay.
You're so great.
Just continuing to read their love letters is what this is before they got married.
I like this part.
December 10th, 1934, Monday, just before dinner. Darling. Okay. Oh, this is from Edith. Okay. Darling, I was glad to get your happy letter today. I'm so glad you're feeling better. That makes me feel better than anything could. I'm still interested to know just what that, quote, medicine of God's is. Please drink plenty of orange juice and tomato juice whenever you get a chance. I'm studying vitamins and dietetics, and it is surprising the things that result from the lack of them, from ulcers to sterility. I'd like to experiment with rats and see some things for myself. I'm trying to get in touch with the research department of some magazine that deals with food, right now the Ladies' Home Journal, through Betsy Poore. If I could get an interview, I'd like a job there better than anything. Of course, it would have to be wherever you will be for seminary. You remember the letter telling about Betty Scott and John Stam's wedding and of their having a baby? Well, bad news came in a cablegram today. Their station has been looted by the communists, and it is rumored, so it is said, that they have been captured and carried off by the communists. Of course, we don't know whether they were captured or whether they are hiding. At any rate, their home was looted and they're missing. It didn't mention the baby, but oh, friends, it is so cold in that district of China, and those communists are so ruthless. They need our prayers. I think your petition is very logical. It should go through. I hope it may. You're a splendid old person with fine ideas. I love you for them. Your ideas and your splendidity. Is that a word? I love you, dearest heart, more all the time, and for so many reasons and in so many ways. I'll be interested, and more than interested, to see your philosophy of life article. When does it come out? My pet pain hovers around in the background. Today, I've had a dreadful headache all around my eyes. That's most annoying, when one has to be looking at professors or books or boards or writing all day and studying and sewing the rest of the time. But don't worry about me. After Christmas is over and presents all made, I'd like a couple of days to complete rest for my eyes and see what that does. Someday I'll have a honeymoon when I won't have to look at a thing but you, and then my eyes will have a rest. Here I am studying history, or trying to, with witch hazel soaked rags tied around my head. I look like the Battle of Bunker Hill. The Schlitkers are downstairs talking with Mother and Dad about their going back to China. I'm not concentrating in history very well. Oh, for the quiet of our apartment some future day. Good night, sweetheart. Get lots of sleep. I adore you, Edith. News of the Stams being beheaded came soon after. Did y'all hear that? The people that were captured, the new married couple, they were beheaded.
Oh, no.
So sad. January 18th, 1935, Hampton, Sydney. Dearest Edith, I'm in bed, but in my own room and not so sick. I just feel better in bed. I got through the exam in a certain fashion. Incidentally, your letter helped very much. I had 7 characteristics of God's decrees to think of, and all that would come was 1. I had saved your letter and opened it to read and clear my mind. I got down to the part about the Stams, and then my mind blazed wide open and awake. Not on the decrees, but on their experiences. You see, we both can understand what that meant for them, because we know what it would mean for us. It horrified me, yet not so much as that it set me afire. I talked to Snapper about it, then sat down and remembered 5 of the other 6 decrees. No, this weekend does not mean we are heading for China, but if God will use us, we are heading somewhere, at home or abroad, more definitely than ever. There's so much to be fought in the world, and my prayer shall increasingly be that we may be used to fight it in some small way. Take communism, for instance. I feel that Christianity must meet with that within our lifetime. It's a glorious time to live, and a time worth death for, worth even what the Stams went through to combat that consummating force of rationalism that is undermining and overflowing Christ's work. The church is asleep, but Christianity is not. It is rushing on. It cannot ultimately be defeated. I feel we are on the right side. I know we are, not only by being on the side of Christ, but by being on the side of the awake church instead of the asleep one. Or, I wonder if those two are not the same thing. Christ and the awake church, yes, and the dead church and the adversaries of Christ also matched? Sweets, I have a verse I found today. In fact, 3 verses. 1 Corinthians 3, 21, 22, and 23. Therefore, let no man glory in men, for all things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things present or things to come, all are yours, and you are Christ, and Christ is God's. All things, all things. Does that make your heart sing? Both life and death, and the present and the future, all things are for us in Christ, for we are Christ, and Christ is God's. The Stamms died, but death was already theirs. And who knows the extent of the influence of their death in awaking the awake church to the increasing peril? Edith, a point-blank question. You and I and our children may face what the Stamms faced. Are you with me even to that? Our call may take us anywhere, and our future may be anything from a dull life in a backwoods village to the stark horror of the other. If we go together, it may be either. I want you, and I think that even if you knew our life was to be the Stamms replayed, you would come down the way with me. Is that not right? Supper, and my temperature is up. I hope I don't have to go to the infirmary. That would be tragic with exams on the way. The above is something of an outburst, but not just that. Exams, flu, and all the rest of it, but I feel close. There's so much to be done, and I hope we will soon be on our way to do some of it. When your dad gets done with the North China Herald with the Stamms details in it, I would like you to send it to me. I'd like to read it, and the fellows would too. I think of you and your exam preparations often and long. You take up much of my thoughts in all directions, among which the physical is not slighted. I hope our time may be this June, just so we are sure it is right. Sweet woman of mine, my adoration grows by leaps and bounds. In all directions it is constantly up. Franz. Morning. I've been to see the doctor and I have to go to the infirmary. I don't like that, but if I must, I must. This will wreck my grades, but I can't help that either. I realize what your constant presence would mean even more than ever at times like this. Edith, Edith, I love you. Friends. February 11th, 1935. This is Edith. Hello, how are you, old squeedunk? I've been in bed all day, knitting and painting and coughing and blowing and feeling pretty punk generally, but I'm going to school tomorrow. Wish I had $1 million and I'd build a seminary and get all good professors and good students without any chips when they graduated. I'd have them fight when necessary and shut up and be sweet when it was necessary. I'd have it unmixed in the conflict, standing for the right but not talking about it, being very positive, believing thoroughly, but presenting all sides fairly, unprejudiced, never finding fault. I'd have it all rosy, doing good to church and community, but making everybody feel comfortable and not sticking pins in anyone, yet accomplishing the work of seeing that people had the chance to find the true word of God. Friends, maybe I'm a fighting person, but isn't the desire to test the message of a man by the only yardstick we have a desire to save people? I didn't mean to end up here. I started out to be funny, sarcastic, and ended up in a tangle. But friends, don't judge a seminary by comparing the conversation of fresh graduates with that of older Christians who have been softened and have grown through years of Christian work. Probably those fellows aren't all fight either, but they're young and they naturally feel like measuring up everyone because they know of the modernism and they're interested in the outcome of their own church. The Lord may be leading you to look into Bible schools through this dissatisfaction with Westminster. I feel I'll always be a symphony with Westminster. Though don't worry, I won't harp on it. I know you want the Lord's will, and so do I. If his will for you lies in some other place of preparation, you will have my wholehearted support of your decision through his guidance. I adore you, sweetheart. I'll be praying much about this thing. Pray for me too, friends, that I may lose whatever is wrong with me. I know I'm too rigid, or whatever the word is that would describe it. Pray that the hot, insistent feeling inside me may go, and that I may look at things more as you do. I reckon I'm not fair enough, friends. I wish I were different. It would be a lot more comfortable. I shouldn't be so decided in my opinions. W. White's, for instance. If that's to be your solution, pray that I may see it right. Pray, please, that I may never spoil things for us by being too dogged in stubbornness. I'm afraid I can be nasty like cherry cider, and I don't want to be. Then come pages on W. White's in New York and the pros and cons of that school, indicating Fran's varied search for the right place to prepare. What do you think of Abyssinia? Or have you seen the papers? Mussolini is wanting to annex Abyssinia to Italy. He has mobilized the Italian troops. Poor Lammies. You have heard me speak of Dr. Tom Lammy. He is in Abyssinia now. I wonder what this will mean to the mission work. I always had a dream of going to Abyssinia ever since we lived with the Lammies once in New Wilmington when I was 8 years old. Why can't I trust more for the future? Oh, Franz, I love you. Good night, dearest, Edith. In the midst of the pile of work on studies and in organizations at school, the petitions that seemed so urgent to be made, and the agony of soul about choosing the right seminary, Fran was busy preparing a valentine for me. He took a college catalog, gray cover, many pages describing courses, etc., and on every page pasted a red construction paper heart, which he cut laboriously himself, and an arrow on the opposite page with a 4-lined original verse on each heart. It was an enormous work, proudly finished to send off special delivery for the 14th of February, 1935. Just 20 years later, in Chapery, on the 14th of February, 1955, Fran was going to be walking into our chalet with another set of papers introducing another chapter of life. But in 1935, we didn't know about the 20 years ahead event. God knows the timing of all his individual threads he is weaving, and of all the choices his threads, human beings, are making. And the total of the tapestry is seen by him even now. February 15th, 1953. Thursday morning. Who is this? Edith. Sweetheart, I'm in the Wayne Junction station once more. Missed my 8:16 by a fraction of a minute and have to wait for the 8:59. Be rather late for class, but it doesn't bother me much, for I want a chance to write to you. Yesterday was so full and I didn't get home until 11 p.m., hence no chance to write. Your perfect Valentine left nothing to be desired. It was perfect, dear heart. I love you. I got it late when I came home last night, read it over and over again, and finally went to sleep with it in my arms. Yes, 'twas literally in my arms, clutched tightly all night, and I woke up with it that way. Incidentally, I was careful of it even in my sleep, as not even a corner of it got bent. The words you wrote were alive and vibrant. I love you. Consider yourself kissed. My beloved, I love you. I can't stop telling you I love you, though I started this paragraph to tell you about last night. The tea yesterday lasted until 6. I floated around offering the faculty mince nuts and candied grapefruit peel, and snuck a cookie at times on the sly. As teas go, it was fun. We had made everything, and the cookies were delightful. Would you like a Chinese chew? I'll send you some as soon as I get time to make more. Then Betsy and I ate dinner together in the tea room and went to chapel. Wonder of wonders, Betsy has agreed to come with me to hear Bieber preach sometime. You know she doesn't believe in the existence of God, and she says she'll come to our Wednesday meetings sometime too. Meeting of the League of Evangelical Students, which I started at Beaver. I think maybe I'll start a Bible class with Daddy teaching. Betsy and Dot said they'd come. Betsy has an idea as to why she is here and doesn't believe there is any future life. I'm hoping that her listening and showing interest will lead to something more than just the satisfying of a curiosity. Then I got hold of Charty after our Y cabinet meeting, at which we voted to have a real week of prayer and study groups with some big man coming to speak this spring. I've been trying to get that over now for the higher authorities, and I took her over to our league prayer meeting. We had a pretty good meeting, discussed predestination, which was bothering some of them, and the second coming. Pretty good discussion. The Valentine is so exquisite you can hardly imagine the thrill it gives me. This sweet pea blossom and fern will bring you a kiss from me. After 46 years, it is still intact in its dried state. It is the loveliest Valentine anyone ever got, and it's mine. I'll keep reading it over and over. Because you come to me with lofty love, because God made you mine. Yes, I'd like to start being with you forever tonight. As friend, lover, companion, co-worker, wife. My dear, dear, I love you. Edith S. Tuesday night, February. Dearest man, now you're hard at work on biology. I hope you're not feeling woozy after your flu. Well, the change has begun. Dad got a letter from blank yesterday saying that after the middle of February, he could be relieved from the office and would be put on the retired list. That means both Dad and Schlichter are out in 4 weeks. Schlichter is waiting for final word from Shanghai to find out whether he is to come out. As for us, we will be on retired remittance, which means less for house rent, $35 to be exact, and nothing for coal, light, gas, telephone, which has to be paid for, and less actual money to eat and do the additional things. You know, daily light today was good for all of us. What does all this mean for us? It would seem that college for me would be out next year, and of course underneath it all is the undercurrent of, quote, I wonder if this is the beginning of the indication that it's right for this June. Mother said tonight that if we do marry in June and have an apartment next winter, we can have a few things such as a green chiffonier and the dressing table. We can scrape them and paint them to suit us. So now all we need for our bedroom is a bed. Would you love me without a BA? This is my family seems to feed the fire of wanting to be wholly dependent on the Lord and to find out how it is to be trusting entirely on Him, in the darkness to be led one step at a time. I feel ready for something and surer than ever before of His faithfulness and of the fact that I not only want His will, but that we are going to have it. This is rather jumbly, but friend, sweetheart, you understand the feeling so strong, yet elusive when it comes to putting them in words. Sunday night, 5 days later. Dearest, I've been jittery all day, excited, my heart goes pit-a-pat, and I can't keep still. He's coming soon, only 2 more days. He is coming soon. It's been a long time, 7 weeks, and I'm thrilled to be seeing you again. Mother didn't feel well today, funny heartbeat and headache. She worked too hard yesterday scrubbing. So I tucked her up on the couch, and we had a sermon on the radio, and I got dinner and made beds, etc. Then this afternoon, I went up to see your folks, listened to Machen on the radio, talked with them, and had a fine time. I read your special delivery, but longed for a P.S. to see how you were feeling now. I'm anxious to get tomorrow's letter, but I have to stay at school until late at night for a joint honor council and student council meeting to discuss changing the honor system. So that means another whole day of not hearing from you, a day of feeling not quite right inside. I've loved you more than ever all today. Dad stopped working in the office, and though they've both known it for a time, the actual laying down of work and facing idleness is a blow to them. Mother is misty-eyed and wistful, and it hurts to know that they are hurt. Last night I tried to make things cheerful by bringing home flowers to Mother and chocolate peppermints for Dad. With my first paycheck from Saturday work, I worked at Litt's department store for a time. Pay was $2.50 for an 8-hour day, plus two 50-minute trolley rides there and back. And we celebrated. Then today, Dad was asked to preach morning and evening in the Wayne Avenue UP Church. And as we were sitting over dinner, a phone call came inviting him to preach March 3rd at the 12th UP Church. So we pray the Lord will work the rest out the way He has these first 2 weeks of, quote, idleness. I am praying that you will be definitely sure of the Lord's will for you in seminaries this weekend as a result of the conference. It will be nice when that is settled, and we can make other plans accordingly. I'm sure that only one place is right for you, and that the Lord will show which that is. Dearest, I'm thinking much about your petition. I hope it goes through. Remember this, and don't let your knees knock together. All God's giants have been weak men who did great things for God because they reckoned on His being with them. Hudson Taylor. We don't need to fear men, old sweets. Know that I am with you in thought and spirit, and what is more, He is with you. And after it is all over, hurry home to tell me about it. I'll be waiting and will expect you Wednesday evening. Here's a kiss on the rose petal. I suppose we'll all be eating in town at the conference, a conference of the League of Evangelical Students with Machen as chief speaker at 10th Pres. How about getting a gang to go over to the Chinese restaurant for one meal? Good night, wonderful Edith. I'm going to stop right there because I don't feel super awesome.
Well, that was really, really great.
Thanks.
Thank you for reading.
Yeah.